Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Amplify Your Business. And today's guest is Chloe Skurlak. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to market or how to develop, I guess, and market a membership site. So Chloe's got a desire to do that. So we're going to jump into that. But first, before we do that, I want to introduce you to Chloe. Chloe, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here so we can actually see your face. There we go. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey so far with your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Lance. This is super fun. And I am Chloe Skurlak. I am a certified fertility awareness educator and Justice holistic reproductive health practitioner. Essentially, that means I have my master's in the menstrual cycle. So what I do is I help teach people with menstrual cycles how to understand this information so that they can ditch the pill and use a hormone-free, side effect-free, natural birth control. I help people who are trying to conceive understand when they're fertile and when they can actually do that. And I help people understand the menstrual cycle as a fifth vital sign so that they can improve their health, their overall health with understanding the menstrual cycle. So my main form of education is video. I love to make videos. I've made myth-busting videos. I love to play with video, and especially because there's really not a single person I don't talk to that says, I wish I would have known this information sooner. And the funny thing is when you think about it, I do talk a lot about the same things that we were taught in, junior high school, except it was so dull and boring and not engaging and didn't seem relevant. So that's a part of why I've chosen video and why I do what I do, is because I like to make this fun and interesting for people. And that's why I'm here, is because I want my videos to reach more viewers. And so help me do that.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll definitely do that. So I'll walk you through some cool tips and tricks and some hacks on how to do that. And hopefully the audience as well will get some ideas as to how they can also replicate this too. So I'm going to go back to a screen share again. So bear with me 1 minute. Okay, so what I wanted to do is start off with taking a look at your website. So let me just click on this. This should launch or open. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so with regard to your website, there are a few things that when I was over there, I thought that you could change that might help with some conversions. And so we'll just quickly go through a couple of those steps right now. Overall, though, your website is actually pretty decent. It's nice and visual. You have a lot of white space in there, which is going to make it a much more visually appealing a site than when everybody's trying to cram tons of content in. But you did mention that you love to create videos for your courses or for the lessons that you're teaching people. And so that was one of the first things that struck me on your website, is that you don't actually have a video or very many videos on your website. So I would recommend that the first thing that you do is actually have a video here welcoming the audience, because you've got a really great screen personality, right? You're really good on camera. And so I think this will just give them that first impression as to who you are and how you actually deliver your content. And so it's just a really good example of that. So put it here. I'd also have a call to action up here. So above the fold, first thing that they come to, they're going to see you. They might get really interested in what it is that you have to say. And so they might want to sign up for the newsletter or sign up for a free consultation, which I believe is the call to action that you've got in other places on your website. And so I see down at the bottom, you've got your newsletter here. I would probably replace this with a call to action to actually book that appointment with you, that free consultation piece, because that is going to be potentially more compelling than what the newsletter is. And so that'll give you that opportunity to have that conversation with them, which then will give you the opportunity to sell something in addition to them, so a course or whatever. Okay, so I would change that a little bit. I love up here at the top that you've got the work with me call to action right in the header. So why don't we click on that real quick? And so again here, I would include a video. And so why should they work with you? What do you want to tell them here at this point? You can also have obviously the content below too, but having a video front and center, again, you're so good on camera, definitely leverage that as much as you possibly can. And then as you scroll down, I see you've got a bunch of testimonials. I would love to see you capture some testimonial videos. They are way more powerful than a written one. And if you're going to stick with the written ones, I would add in, if you can, get a photograph from them. So from their Instagram profile or their Facebook profile or whatever the case might be, grab it, throw it on here, because that actually elevates the credibility of that quote a little bit more when you attach a person's face to it in addition to their name. Okay, so but video is definitely way more powerful, and coach your clients or your past clients in how to message that testimonial as well. So some people get a little uncertain about what they should be encouraging their past clients to say. The reason why your past client is doing you a favor and creating that testimonial video is because they loved what you did for them. And so they are totally coachable. Obviously, you don't want to put words in their mouths in terms of things that they're not feeling or what they're not wanting to say, but you can generally coach them on the key things that you want them to say that is going to really move your business forward. So those should be the things that are objections. So what a typical person is going to have an objection to. So as an example, what would be a typical objection to somebody taking one of your courses?
I rely on hormonal birth control for the pill, and I don't trust anything else.
Okay, so perfect. So if that is a key objection, then what you want to do is you want to have that person talk about how that's how they were feeling before they took your course or before they started working with you, and then they couldn't believe the results that they got or how safe it was. And so this is just a huge testament to what you teach and why other people should also be taking the course or working with you. So getting them to frame it that way, as opposed to them just saying, you know, Chloe was amazing, love Chloe to death, you know, just really appreciated all the time that she spent with us. And, you know, I'm just feeling so much better now that I'm on this holistic journey. That's good, but not nearly as good as if it handles the objection rate within the testimonial. Okay.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. So let me just scroll back up here. Let's take a look at the blog. So on the blog, because you're using a side panel blog, what would be great is if you had your call to action over here in the right-hand side in that panel. Okay, so that you have every opportunity possible to throw in that call to action, throw it in here. So that could be just signing up for a newsletter because you're in the blog section. That kind of makes sense to have them sign up for the newsletter because I'd imagine you're going to push out the blogs as they come out, right? So that's the newsletter. And so this would be a good place for that, or that call to action in terms of booking an appointment could be there. And I like designs that have this menu option stick, especially when you've got the call to action there at the top. So when I scroll down, what I like to see is it stick on here. And so that's just called a sticky header. You're using WordPress, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you can get a plugin that will allow you to actually just have this menu block stick. And it's actually a feature that's in the newer versions of WordPress just out of the box now as well. So do that. The contact page, let's take a quick look at this. This looks good. I like that you've got your social media down here, but I would actually emphasize your social media a little bit more because I believe that you've got a pretty good following over on Instagram already, right?
Yeah.
Okay, big audience over there. I would emphasize Instagram then a little bit more prominently, maybe throw it up into the menu up here. So again, it's another spot, or at least make it a little bit larger down in the base so that you've got in the footer, it's just a little more visual for people to be able to find that. Same thing with your YouTube because you've got your videos over there.
Right.
Let me take a quick peek at About Chloe. I'm hoping there's a video here, Chloe.
No kidding. I don't know why. That's so funny, isn't that? Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing that I would mention here is you got this let's meet. So this is the call to action to book an appointment, right?
Yeah.
That's great. But it's right above, let me just go back, right above another call to action. So you got two call to actions that are back to back. That's not very effective oftentimes we find, because now you've given them two choices, and so they have to make a choice between the two. It's that whole analysis paralysis kind of thing, but to a minuscule scale, I suppose. But it still creates a little bit of, okay, what do you want me to do? Just be really clear when you're using your website design and setup to really guide them down the path that you want them to take.
Yeah, that's super helpful.
Yep. So I would definitely have this a little bit more prominent, and I would throw it, potentially up here as well, a little bit more above the fold. And let me just take a look at that work with me again. Yeah, I would put it above the fold up here too, because I think you got to get down to the bottom, before you see it. So it's okay to have it at the bottom, but I'd also put it up above the fold, because a lot of people don't scroll very far down a page. Especially if you've got a video here, because the video is going to kind of explain everything anyway for them, or most of it. So have a call to action right beside the video for them to book that appointment. And you can reference it within your video too. So then that will increase then potentially the conversions on that button as well.
Yes. It's so funny. Now that you mention it, I can't believe I don't have any videos on my website.
Yeah. It is kind of funny, right? But that's one of the things that oftentimes, we get busy and we're doing different things, and then we just kind of lose sight of the things that are really working well for us. And I think your videos would really work well for you.
I mean, it blows my mind. I made this website myself. You see there at the bottom, it says powered by an ovulator. I knew nothing about WordPress. I'm using the Beaver Builder theme, and I just put it together by myself. And it's just, every time I look at it, I'm amazed I even did that. And so to even go in and make changes just scares me, because I'm afraid I'm going to press something and the whole thing is going to break. But
no worries at all. It is a really great video or website. Like I said, it's designed well. It works really well, I would think, in terms of people navigating through the content. There's just little small tweaks. You can end up with some improvements in the conversions, which is what we want everybody to experience, right?
Right. Thanks. That's super helpful.
Okay, so let's get into the membership site stuff. But actually, before we do that, I wanted to just talk about courses, because in a previous conversation that you and I had, you had mentioned that you wanted to create some courses as well. So just walk me through what you're thinking of doing there.
So generally, I teach online, and I generally teach one-to-one. However, I really want to start working in more groups. I want to offer people that kind of community. And I also just want to get more people, like the one-to-many. That's where I'm at, where I'm transitioning. So I've played around with doing groups at home and doing them in person. And not too long ago, I also tried out Facebook. So I used Facebook as a way to put together a group. And I was actually very surprised at how great it was for a free resource.
Yep.
And there's units, and people can go in there and comment and, explore the content. And speaking of content, what we did was Facebook Lives. So I wanted people to be able to get the chance to join in live, but then as well, it sticks, right? It stays and uploads onto Facebook, the Facebook group, so people can still watch it at their own time.
Great idea.
So, of course, how many people do you think actually watched it live?
Well, yeah,
Not very many.
Yeah.
So whatever, no big problem, because it stayed there. But then and I'm sure you can agree with me when I say you put all of this time and effort and, getting the lighting just right and the words just right, that you want to be able to reuse or refurbish this content.
Yep.
So you can imagine my frustration when you download the Facebook Live, it's awful quality. So I thought, that didn't work so well for me. And one of the things that you always say that I really appreciate is when you're making content, think about how you can continue to reuse it.
Yeah.
So that was the lesson I learned with Facebook Lives and Facebook groups.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because that is definitely a very important point. Is you want to be able to reuse the content, but you also want to own the content. And so when you're using a platform like Facebook to engage with your audience and then deliver the content to it, you kind of start to lose possession of it in a way. Because if they were to change anything, you could completely lose that content over there. The algorithm changes, or they decide to take down your group or whatever. And then when you're trying to export it, you're having those export difficulties. And so one of the things that I would recommend, if you are doing Facebook Lives in the future, is that you use something like Crowdcast. Crowdcast is a great little platform in which you can actually stream live into Facebook, but it gives you the ability to control what is being presented, and record it. So you've got a kind of a local copy on your computer. So if you end up having any issues with your internet dropping down or dropping out, then you still have got a great video that you can then repurpose into YouTube and onto your website and into courses or a membership site like what we're going to be talking about here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of the things that I would recommend, because you are using a WordPress website, is one of the beautiful things about WordPress is that you can get these inexpensive plugins that can enhance the functionality of the website. So one plugin that I would recommend for courses is called LearnDash. And so what LearnDash allows you to do is create like an e-learning course. And so you can have multiple lessons. You can also have it broken down by chapters, so many lessons per chapter. And on top of that, you can create quizzes or knowledge checks as your student is progressing through it. You can also lock down the sequencing of those courses or those lessons, so they can't move on to lesson 2 until they've done lesson 1, as an example. Now, I don't know if your content is structured that way or if you plan to structure it that way, but if you did, that does give you the opportunity then of making sure that people have the foundational knowledge before they get more into the advanced knowledge. And so I really do like LearnDash for that. It also integrates nicely with a payment gateway, so with PayPal and Stripe. So if you wanted to charge for those courses, you can do that all within that platform. And it's all very seamless. And so they create their account, they get access to the courses that they've purchased, and then they can go in and take those courses whenever they like.
That's the goal. Pay for the courses.
Okay, awesome. Now, when it comes to memberships, what I really like to use is MemberPress. And so this is another plugin, really inexpensive. So we're talking around $150 to purchase it. If you wanted to get, future upgrades, then there's going to be an additional cost for those. But you can basically, plug this in and run your membership site with it, and not have to worry about any recurring costs or transactional costs or anything like that. LearnDash as well, I should just mention, is around the same price, around that $150 for the main basic accounts. And then you can add on some additional functionality if you wanted some extra complexity to both of these. I don't think you're going to really need that though for what you're developing. So the base functionality is probably going to be good enough. And so what I really like about WordPress is that you have the ability, with MemberPress, you have the ability to tier your membership. And so you can have a free category in which you're going to have maybe some free content that you'll use to get people in the door interested with your membership site, so they get a taste of it. And then you can upsell them into a paid tier, and you could have multiple paid tiers. So you could have, the basic, which gives them a limited access to information of the premium content. And then you might have, say, a VIP or premium membership level, which will give them full access to more information that you're presenting. And so what we see some content providers do is they will use that premium or VIP tier to provide more access to the experts, so to you. And so that might be where you would host some lives in there. You might have some bonus content where you're doing more coaching, or you might also have at that tiered level access to book, one-on-ones with you at a slightly discounted price. So maybe that's a membership benefit that they get in being in that upper tier. So that tiering system works really good. I also really like with MemberPress the ability to have like forums in there, so that other people can be helping each other, like all the members, feel like they're part of a community, just like a Facebook group would. So the similar idea, but it's within a locked-in environment in which you basically control that access and you've got all that data there. So any questions at all with regard to MemberPress or LearnDash, either one of those?
Yeah, that super excites me. Essentially, that's what I'm trying to do right now, is to create one place where you can go to get all of these things. You get the community through the forum, you get access to extra lessons or courses. But I do wonder, is the LearnDash and the MemberPress, so is this something you have to choose? Like you choose the course route or you choose the MemberPress route? Or
Very
the
good.
course is in the MemberPress?
Yeah, very good question. And so the two of them actually integrate really nicely. And so what I like to do, or like to see our clients do, is if they are selling courses, is they can control the access to the different types of courses through the membership plugin as well. And so, for instance, you could offer in that premium VIP access, maybe they get free access then, or part of what's included in their access is access to the courses that you have. And so that could be an option in which you can turn on and turn those off. So you could have a bucket basically of benefits and access rights to different lessons or different courses through the membership member press as well. So depending on what tier they're in, they'd get different access to those courses potentially as well. Now, the other thing that's great about MemberPress too is the ability to basically monitor what people are purchasing, what their level of tier they're in, and then you can send out automated emails to them to try to promote additional services or additional programs or additional courses. And so the people who are most engaged, so if they purchase course A, maybe then you start to market the membership subscription to them. If they're a member, you can market the courses. If they're a VIP member, maybe you're marketing some advanced course that you've got to them. And so that you can give them, I mean. And so you have this ability to basically trigger the type of marketing that you would send out to them based off of where they're at within those tiers.
See, and what excites me so much about all of that is you have control over what people are seeing and making sure that the people who want to see this content see it. Because like I know we've spoke about in the past, when you have different algorithms on Facebook, you know, or maybe only a percentage of even your followers are even seeing your content.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell you how many times I've been shadow banned on Instagram, which means that your hashtags aren't seeable anymore. You get essentially ghosted because of sometimes because my content can be super sensitive.
Yeah.
And so it's really frustrating when you're making all this stuff and no one is even reaching it. So to kind of gain back control and some ownership over that is super important.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I would do, a strategy or a hack that I would have would be to use social media to basically deliver some of that free content to your audience there, to get them exposed to the type of content that you would be offering in your courses and in the membership area. And so you basically are giving them kind of almost like a free trial. So once they've engaged enough with it and they're seeming like they're really interested, then you have the opportunity to start to try to sell your courses or your membership site to them. And so don't abandon those platforms, obviously. Just leverage them in a slightly different way. So instead of kind of having them be the delivery point for the business for the paid part, I would shift that behind a pay gate over on your website, and I would be using that as your lead gen, the social media as your lead gen then.
So that brings up my next question then.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know what stuff I should put behind, my paid gate and my membership versus what kind of stuff should I put on my public blog or the kind of stuff I should throw onto Instagram or Facebook?
Okay, so contrary to what a lot of people would naturally think, what you want to do is you want to give away your best content. I know that seems weird, but what you want to do is you want to really impress, right? So if you're giving away some of your best content, you're going to have the people who are watching that or engaging with it go, oh my God, if this is the stuff she's giving away for free, I can't imagine the value that I'm going to get on the stuff that I'm going to end up paying for. And so the stuff behind the pay gate is going to elaborate on that free stuff. So they're not going to get, necessarily the complete story. Obviously, that's just going to be maybe a slice out of your content that you have in the, the membership area or in your course, but you're going to be highlighting the most important or the most salient kind of points that really get people to take notice. That's the stuff that you want to give away, and then drive them over to the membership, because now you got them really engaged and hooked.
Right.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So speaking of content, and one of the things too that you mentioned at the beginning and that I preach a lot about is that multi-purposing the content. And so when you're building out your courses, that course content that you're going to have, that you're going to be selling then courses to, what you want to do is think about it strategically when you're filming it, because one of the challenges that we have as course creators is that we have a limited amount of time to get in front of the camera and bang out a bunch of content. And so if we can be thinking about, okay, I have this lesson that I'm going to, or I'm going to record 3 lessons today, right? So while you're recording those 3 lessons, take a little bit of time to create some promotional content about each one of those lessons, or create then that little highlight piece that's going to be the piece that you're going to share on social media, that's going to be used then as a lead generation tool to drive traffic over to your website, so that they will then convert, hopefully, by signing up, and as they want more of that content. And so multi-purpose or dual purpose your time in front of the camera to create the pieces that you're going to want to promote it and to promote the membership.
I'm laughing thinking about it because it reminds me when I was making my, I have a 28-day, 28-minute video series, and I didn't realize until halfway through making these video series that I liked to snapshot or screenshot a part of the video as the thumbnail.
Okay.
And so I learned halfway through that either at the beginning or the end, I kind of just it's that hold, so I can actually take a picture versus trying to like find myself in mid-conversation.
Yeah.
And so if you look through some of my thumbnails, it makes so much sense that I'm like trying to stop it. So thinking about that kind of stuff in advance as you're videotaping,
Yeah. So it's just looking at things just a little more strategically will really be able to save you a ton of time later on. And you're going to have really great content then that's very original that you can be posting into social media to use for that lead gen. And speaking of the lead gen, so what you want to do is have, that video that you're going to throw up into social media, or if it's going to be a still or whatever, you want it then to link back to your website. So on Instagram, you want to mention to see the link in bio, so that you can direct people back to your website, in which you're going to have a landing page. And that landing page is different than any other page on your website. It's going to speak very specifically to the content that you're talking about in the video in which you are presenting, or the still image and the content that's written in that post. Because the more relevant that the landing page has to, or relevancy that it has to the ad, the greater the chance of conversion is going to be. So if they're clicking on that social media post and they're coming over to a site and then talks about something that isn't quite as aligned, you're going to get them going, yeah, no, that's not what I was expecting. And so then they bounce. But if you're aligned with it, then you're going to definitely get a lot better dwell time. So the time that they stay on your website, which is going to be a great signal for SEO, because you're going to get this inbound link and you're going to get good dwell time off of it. The keywords are going to rank better. And on top of that, the longer they spend with your material, the more chance they are going to have to convert. So I would definitely do that. And think about in terms of the buyer's journey. So you have awareness, then you have consideration, analysis, and then purchase. And so what you want to do is make sure when you're sprinkling the content out into social media, is that those are awareness pieces. And so you're not doing a hard sell there. You're just giving away great content, showing your expertise, showing that you're a thought leader. And so you're giving that away. And then when they're over on your website, that's when they get into that consideration stage. And so now you can start to position some call to actions there. You can start to try to collect their email so that you can do some email marketing to them. That can all happen over there. And then you would get into a little heavier sell job as you push them down farther into that funnel when they're trying to analyze, is this a great fit? And that's where those testimonial videos come in so handy, is at that analysis stage, because you're basically saying every objection that they could potentially have, you've got an answer that is for it in the words of an existing client who is going to obviously have a tremendous amount of authority in their mind, right? So that social proofing is happening there as well.
Now I'm excited to make all these testimonial videos.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And you can do them, we're in the shut-in economy, so you can do it over Zoom like what we're doing right now, and filming this. So you could do the same thing and then just edit that down. So it's just on, their footage, or you could ask them to record something on their phone, and you can kind of coach them via Zoom as well as to what they're recording as well. So there's a few different ways that they can do it, but definitely grabbing it is the way to go. Okay, so the next thing that we want to talk about, I think, is marketing. And so how do you market your site, right? So we talked a little bit about using those tools as the lead gen, but you also have an email list. I believe you said you're using MailChimp right now, and so you've got an existing database of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
MailChimp.
So once you've got everything set up over on the membership site, what is really good practice is then to alert your email list, your followers to it. So you're going to obviously do that in social media, but you're going to also do it in email. And so you want to send out an email to them announcing that you've got this new membership site, what the value is, maybe include a testimonial in it as well. And so in that email that you send out to them, the best practice is to use a video, but use a thumbnail of the video with a little play button in it. And what that does is it looks like then it's a player. And so people will click on that to launch the video. That'll open up your landing page in which that video is actually housed on. And they're going to play that. And you've got your call to action down below that video or beside it that's going to encourage them then to check out the membership. And so what I would suggest you maybe look at doing is having that free tier of your membership. So then the call to action is for them to sign up to check it out, to take a test drive of it essentially. And so you got their email address already there, but from the email list, so that's fine. You don't need to worry about getting another email address. But when it comes from the traffic coming over from social media, that's a great way of capturing their email addresses so that you can sprinkle more emails out to them in a drip that moves them along that buying journey. And so it's a great lead generation source or lead magnet that you can offer them.
I like especially the landing page. That's something I need to start mastering, because right now when I do that and I share videos, they just go straight to my YouTube channel where they get lost in the YouTube channel hole.
Yes,
So,
that's one of the 7 deadly sins right there, I tell you. Yeah, so that's something that we cover off in another episode of Amplify Your Business, in which we talk about where you should be placing your videos. And so there's definitely lots of value for you to have your videos and some of your content over in YouTube, because it is the second largest search engine by volume. And so you're going to have people stumble upon it, especially the niche that you're in, I think, because there probably isn't a ton of content that's being created in that niche. And so if you can answer some of the questions, the common questions that people might be asking. And here's a little hack. And I don't know if you realize this or not, but you're pretty savvy, so you're probably already doing this. But so for our listeners out there, what you do is you go to YouTube and you just type in what somebody might be actually searching for with regard to your product or service. So for you, it would be something to do with the menstrual cycle, right? And so just type in menstrual and see what the autofill comes up. So it'll give an option or a few options as to what you maybe could select from, right? And so this is YouTube and Google basically saying, of all the people who are searching for menstrual something, this is the most common search term that pops up. And that's the one that will be on the top. And so what you want to do then, the hack here is to answer the question that is behind that query. And so super powerful, because then the algorithm is going to position you at the top because you're answering the actual question, right? If you have good current content that's getting a little bit of traffic, it'll bump you up really quickly. So that's how you hack the algorithm in YouTube.
I wish I could say I was doing that. I will be.
Okay. And so the subject line of your video, should be
Where
the
you answer the
answer to
question.
that question. And then obviously if you can be answering it in the content of it, then that works great. Yeah. Okay, so YouTube, the problem is that I explain to people with using YouTube as the place where you're going to house your marketing material is that if you're sending people to a video as part of your lead generation, and it's over on YouTube, they're going to get lost watching all these other videos. And so you don't want to lose control of that audience, of that traffic. And so everything that you're doing to drive traffic into the top of your funnel, send them to your website and use your video embedded there. And don't use YouTube. Use Vimeo or use Wistia. Those are two really great players that work fantastic from a lead generation standpoint, and they don't play those recommended videos at the end of it. So you don't lose your audience, okay?
So do I just ditch YouTube altogether then?
No, no, no. Like I said, it's a great potential place for you to capture some traffic because people are searching for different terms over there. And so you want to be there, and you've got great engaging content. And so I think a strategy, once you have some time, is to build more content specific for YouTube as well, and giving away that premium free content, answering those questions that you've just discovered this hack for, creating content around that. Throw it up there. And then what you want to be talking about in those videos is, hey, and I got this free membership site, and it's just that free tier. And so you can, hit the link in the bio, or you can have it pop up as a card on your YouTube video that will then send them over to your website. That'll be a landing page that is, again, optimized to convert that traffic that's coming from that particular video.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And with WordPress, you can just duplicate your landing pages, just tweak a little bit of the content. So you've got it. It's really quick and easy to create a different landing page for each one of the videos that you're sending traffic over, so that it is a little bit more relevant and on message with what is being talked about, or carries on that conversation that you already started in YouTube or Instagram or wherever.
Right. Cool. So I am so excited about all of this. This is a lot of information. I often get this paralysis by analysis thing where I'm like, I don't even know, I need to make it into smaller, digestible, chewable bites. So what would be my first action?
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. So, okay.
That's the MailChimp and that's the first thing you do.
Yeah.
And then when do I start making this course? Which, oh my gosh, please tell me that there are tutorial videos or something on how to use MemberPress or LearnDash.
Yeah. And the great thing about both of those is they're really popular plugins. And so LearnDash is one that's got some really great tutorials. MemberPress has as well. You'll see for both of them, if you just search them in YouTube, you're going to find a bunch of people, experts walking through them, showing how to set up things, showing how to tweak the performance of it, and giving you some strategies there. So there's lots of free content there. And if you ever hit, a roadblock or a bit of a wall as you're going through and trying to set all this up, just give us a shout. We'd be more than happy to help you out for sure. It's not super complicated, but there are some things that you want to make sure you get right. And speaking of that, before you go in and add any plugins, and for everybody who does have a WordPress site, we always recommend doing a backup of your website before you start making those edits. And so it's important or before you add in more plugins, so it's important to do that in case something breaks, because some plugins don't work well with other plugins. And so sometimes you'll get a conflict there and you don't know what's going on, and then your website could be down for a bit. And so these ones that I've just mentioned work really well together. And if you don't have a backup plugin, there's, again, lots of them that you can search for WordPress. One that we like to use is called Snapshot. WPMU Dev is the organization that creates that. They create a bunch of premium plugins that are really good. And that's good. I think they have a free one as well as a paid one that has more features in it as well, but probably the free one would be fine for you. Just download a copy of the website so that you can re-upload it if anything does break.
That gives me a lot more confidence to play around with it.
Yeah, totally. And in terms of where do you start the marketing at, I think the first thing to do is, obviously get your membership site set up. And then I would then go to your email address or your email list first and send out some awareness pieces around this new feature that you've got, or this new offering. And then I would be doing something over in social media and doing it organically. And then once you start getting that ball rolling a little bit, maybe a little bit of revenue coming in, you could start to then expand that with some Facebook or Instagram ads as well. And so those will both work quite well once you start getting some traffic in, I think. The other hack that I would just suggest out there to throw out there for people who are looking for a way to determine, pricing for your course or pricing for your membership area, or the content for those lessons and content that would be valuable in the membership, is to spend about $100 in Facebook ads or Instagram ads, and target your exact customers or your ideal customer, who it is that you would think is going to be most interested in having access to that material. And then I would create a little landing page in which you would then send that traffic over to the landing page. And so for $100, if you're using video from a video marketing perspective, you should be able to get between 4 to 10 cents a view is what it's going to cost you for an average, well optimized campaign over on Facebook and Instagram. And so for $100, you get basically 1,000 clicks or views of the video, and out of that, you're going to get a couple hundred clicks, hopefully, that are going to come over to your website. And those then are going to be your, test subjects as to whether or not they're engaging with the content and signing up for it, or asking, doing an actual purchase. But it's a fake purchase, essentially. You don't have anything created yet on the other side. So of that buy button. And so they might click on the buy button, and then you would have an alert pop up. So it's a dead link, essentially, and a little alert that pops up and says, oh, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Just enter your email address and your name, and we'll get back to you as soon as we get this sorted out. So then you can start to build a list of interested people. So when you do go live with it, you can sell it to them. Or you can actually have them complete the transaction. Then you reach out to them via an email, apologize because you're having some difficulty with the program, or the program isn't quite ready yet. And that was a mistake it went live too soon or something. But again, you'd like them to be on the list. If they'd like a refund, though, you'd be more than happy to issue them the refund for that course. And that will give you an indicator as to how many people are going to actually purchase your course or your membership as well.
Okay, what a sneaky tip. Cool.
Yeah. It is a little sneaky, but it works really good. And it's inexpensive market research, right? Because you're going to have some people, friends and family, who will say, oh, this is such a great idea, Chloe. I would totally buy that if you had that course, or I would totally be a member for sure. It sounds so amazing, right? Until they actually purchase it, you never know exactly. And this doesn't mean that they're malicious or anything like that, or just trying to let you down easy. They might have full intention of it, but then when push comes to shove, it's like, I don't know if it actually is worth the value. And so you'll get an idea. And so you can start low or start high and drop down, just run a few of these tests, right? And just test it out at different price points. And then track that traffic back to a particular landing page. And you're going to be able to determine then what price is maybe the most reasonable price to have it set at.
Genius. Well, thanks for that tip.
Yeah. So any questions at all? We covered, again, lots of ground here. So do you have anything else that you want to discuss at all?
No, this has been super helpful. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the membership and using MemberPress and LearnDash. And I'm super excited to implement some of the great tips you had about my website. So I really appreciate your eyes on that. And thank you for having me.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody's got the link then for our archived episodes. And so if you like this episode, you want to learn some more, we do these tips every week with an entrepreneur who is basically running into some sort of marketing challenge. And so we like to try to help out as much as we can. And so if you want to view some of the archived material, it's over at amplimedia.com/amplify. And you'll be able to have free access to all of those. And any future ones as well is going to be over there too. And this one will be up there right away as well. So thanks a lot for everybody for viewing. And thank you, Chloe. I really appreciate you taking the time today to walk us through your business. Maybe just share with us where people can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. My name, so Chloe Skerlak, CHLOE SKERLAK. You can put a .com after that, and you'll find my website. You can put that in Instagram, and you'll find photos of my cervical mucus. You can put that in YouTube, and you'll find my Mythbusters and my travel videos. So just Chloe Skurlak, and we can connect.
So I have to admit, I didn't think when I first started doing this series that the word cervical mucus would be something that would be shared on an episode. So it's interesting. I just love all the businesses, all the entrepreneurs, all the ideas, the things that we do to help people. And obviously, you found your niche, and you're helping a lot of people with what you're doing. And so I applaud you for that. So keep doing what you're doing. And thank you again. And I hope to see everybody on our next episode. Until then, take care and be safe.